Marty Hart is considered one of the legends of ATV racing. He was one of the original Honda factory ATC riders. He won multiple national championships on a three-wheeler, won a Mickey Thompson championship on a four-wheeler, and I was able to catch up with him in Ashtabula, Ohio in 2000 at the Legends race there, do an interview with him and talk about what the sport was like back in the day, as well as what his vision was for the sport in the future. If you watch through the whole video, towards the very end of this, he was very prophetic in talking about a new vision where he saw the sport going. And he was at the time working on a side-by-side ATV, which in my opinion was the precursor to UTVs and like Polaris Razors and the Can-Ams and a lot of things that are going on now. So very interesting to hear what he had to say. Take a look.
My name's Marty Hart from Columbus, Louisiana, and they used to call me Heart Attack.
What's your history in racing? Like, what championships have you won or major events that you've won?
Well, probably I won the Louisiana in 1978, kind of when I started, and I won pretty much all the stuff in Louisiana that you could win. Then I went to the race up in Iowa, and that's where I really kind of got my recognition. Went up there and ran we run real well. And ended up running out the event, but I got enough exposure to get me a ride out in Southern California with 3B Lightning products. And we started from right there, and it took us about 9 months to get competitive out there. We finally beat Dean. He was the king at that time. And this is early 80s. Started riding for Honda, I think, in 1982. And we won every championship, I think, from the time they gave it to us when they started the series. We never relinquished the #1 place through 1986. And so then we took Honda canned the team. We took a couple years off and raced just some selective races, and then kind of decided we really wanted to go back and finish in the Mickeys pretty good. And I went out and won the championship on a four-wheeler in '89. And decided I wanted to retire after that. I got into the car racing, and so I just got completely out of four-wheelers since 1989.
How'd you get started racing ATVs?
I guess all your buddies just riding around the house. Everyone was kind of competitive, and they started buying some race tires. We really didn't have a racetrack, and then we had to start traveling around a little bit, all in Louisiana, down in South Louisiana. They had a few tracks, and it was really starting to burst out, ATV racing in general. And for us, in 1978, I think those guys in Southern California had been racing longer, a little bit longer than we had, but probably the most effective was when we started on the 185S's. Hardtail suspensions. Believe it or not, before I left Louisiana, I had never ridden a bike with suspension on it. When I left Louisiana to go to Knoxville, Iowa, I was riding a 175 Tri-Moto. Never had ridden anything with suspension in it, and then, when I went out there, it was 81. The bikes were already there, the 250 suspended bike. So you talk about out to lunch, We went up there, and it was kind of a TT style track, and I was able to hang with those guys, But we went to Saddleback Park and some of those super fast tracks. The Dean and all those guys were just awesome, I went out there thinking I was competitive. They lapped me, They were so fast, and I was so out to lunch, and it was just a great place and a great way to grow up in ATV racing. In general, we got to see the country, riding with the #1 team, and all the desert racing we got to do, and traveling, you can't even express how much you learn from that.
Out of all the bikes that you've ridden, from your three-wheelers to the four-wheelers, what's the favorite bike that you've ridden out of everything?
Well, my love was three-wheeler. I felt like that it takes more talent to ride a three-wheeler. It was just something that I really put my head down real hard and did, and I was good at it. But the four-wheelers definitely made the racing more competitive. It gave you a lot more winners. When we were racing ATVs, we'd have like top 3 guys, 4 guys every weekend you really had to worry about. In ATV racing, when everyone slipped the four-wheelers, all the guys were running 6, 8, 10 back were all right there in the hunt, competitive. And I think, fun-wise, the four-wheelers are more fun. They suck up the bumps better. They're more forgiving. ATV, one mistake, you roll it. And but these four-wheelers are so much more forgiving, and they really add to the sport as far as competition. They make it a lot more fun.
Now, you've been racing for a long time. I know you did the Baja races. You've been all over the country. What's your wildest racing story?
Well, one of the most memorable races I ever had was Porterville, racing against Steve Mendenhall. We had a national down there, TT style course, super fast, fun, everything was working good all day. And Steve was super fast. And he passed me the corner before the finish line on the last lap, last corner. And so everybody was like, oh. And then, I mean, it happened as fast as he passed me, I passed him right back. Went around. And that's, you know, those kind of races, I mean, I got a lot of racing stories, but I mean, that's just one that sticks out. You know, everybody says, oh man, you know, you don't ever pass back on the corner before the finish line if someone just passed you on the last lap. Usually it's a reason. But he slid it right on there real nicely. He just totally did a perfect block pass. And I set up for the block pass and shot right back underneath him. It was just a fluid. And I probably gained, you know, it's probably one of the most races I ever got respect for, because, you know, I didn't just say, oh, shoot, you know, I just went right back, passed it, did my job, and went on to the next one, you know. But that's probably the most memorable. The other one would have to be in Olympia, Washington, that motocross race when Kawasaki had about, I don't know, 10 or 12 riders. And I think Cole and I were the only 250 riders. And I went in the first turn. One of them took me out, got back up, started to race, caught everybody, passed everybody but first place, and I went across the finish line and just grabbed one. You know what I'm saying? Now that was fun, but that was my big deal with motocross. I really loved it. I trained super, super hard. I rode sometimes twice a day, most of the time, a lot of times. And I think most people are riding 2 or 3 times a week. And as long as Honda could keep the parts under me, I rode them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they keep it, if it wouldn't rattle, I'd ride it.
Now, you haven't ridden an ATV in, what, 11 years?
11 years.
So how is it get back on a bike, get back on the racetrack?
You know, I built the bike. I can say I haven't touched one in so long. I actually called Lauren up about a month ago when I really heard this deal was coming together. I bought a bike, sent off for some parts, gave me a list of stuff I wanted, sent him the engine, brought it back. I broke it in one afternoon. I went up, I practiced one, I broke it in one evening, practiced the next evening, and took off to North Arkansas to race the very next evening. And I went up there and I practiced. I was kind of out to lunch. I was really oversteering it, really sliding. I noticed those guys were driving them a lot more than when we were doing it. So I started putting it together. I borrowed tires, you know, I was so out to lunch. I got maybe some brackets, tied the rear end down, you know. And I went out and won both motos, you know. And I mean, it really came back fast. But, you know, it's really not talent, it's experience. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of these guys, I mean, you see all the guys that's here this weekend, a lot of them are going pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? I mean, real fast. I think in practice we were generally exchanged sometimes was, you know, a second faster or something. That's not too bad for being off one for 11 years. I hope we can pick up a little bit, you know, in the main event. Now we got our bike dial in a little bit better, but we'll see.
What's the biggest difference between racing back when you had the factory ride and everything versus now?
Well, you know, it's just nothing like the prestige of pulling up, you know, seeing those trailers, and the intensity level that Kawasaki brought to the program, Honda brought to the program. I mean, we didn't go there to beat anybody else. It was like no one else was in the pits. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and all the people, they come to see Honda and, you know, the guys. They don't come to see me and Jimmy. I mean, just fight, you know, take the nail to try to win. You know what I'm saying? I mean, out of anyone in the whole sport, he has more respect than anybody because he took us just to another level. You know what I'm saying? It was just, when we drove up, I mean, it was just dog eat dog. I've never seen, I mean, I'm as competitive as they come. You know what I'm saying? But he loved to win as much as I did, and it showed. I mean, we would fight, kick each other's forks, ram each other, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just, you know, we just hated one another, you know what I'm saying? Earlier today, we were over there and some kid comes up and he says, I want you guys to picture together, you know, and I just made a comment 10 years ago, this never happened, you know what I'm saying? But that's what makes this particular event so special, you know what I'm saying, that you can come back and, you know, I mean, you learn to like somebody over time, you know what I'm saying, because you earn their respect, and he earned mine, and I probably earned his, you know what I'm saying, because of the fact that he just wanted it so bad, you know what I'm saying. These guys out here, they want it, but we had jobs to do. We got paid to do it, you understand what I'm saying? So when we showed up, but it was just all serious. A lot of these guys, they have to go to work Monday morning. It's not the same I just wish that somebody, Kawasaki, Honda, those manufacturers get back into it. If nothing else, just pull up a van, put it out front, you know what I'm saying? And just let them park their bikes in front of it, do some parts out of it, something, just to show that they're the top in their sport, you know what I'm saying? Because these guys are just driving into little trailers, which is nice setups, but they're just not getting the respect that they deserve. They put that much time and effort into it.
Other than yourself, who's the best ATV rider that you've seen ride?
Well, I think Denton probably is number one. He's got a whole, his mental game is so strong. You can get in there and you can ram him all day long, and he just enjoys it. It's kind of like someone's ramming me. That's the fun. Some people get shaken from that. You know what I'm saying? I just smile and I love that. But he's the only guy I've seen to be so mentally tough. You know what I'm saying? Just nothing bugs him. Jimmy, he would always get mad. You know what I'm saying? That's how he expressed his, anger and talent. To me, it was just, I just had a desire to win that, just like everybody else is out here. You know what I'm saying? But it's just how much we wanted. You know what I'm saying? But Dent would have to be, he's got the championships to prove it. He stayed in there longer than anyone else. And today, when I come to the race, that's who I'm coming to be. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to be the fastest guy, hands down. Because he stayed there. He gets super starts. You know what I'm saying? That's the man right now.
Where do you see ATVs going in the future?
I've been out of it so long, and I really hadn't followed it. I'm working on a new program to send it into another direction. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the sport for, years. 1978. I've learned a lot about ATVs. I'm into the 4x4 section now. We do a lot of the utility type stuff. And I've been in some concept design work for a company called Fun Power. And we're going to take this thing into a different direction like three-wheelers did to four-wheelers. Right now, you see the mules and the Rangers, you know what I'm saying? That's a certain aspect. Right now, we're trying to promote a little bit more safety in the utility side of it. If you can get, these guys, it says all over, don't ride two people on it, you know what I'm saying, use both hands and all that stuff. You're carrying a gun in one hand, and got your little boy on the front, you know what I'm saying, it's just not safe. And so what we're trying to do is to build an ATV that is two-seat, with a little bed on the back that can go the same place you go in your 450 Honda or your Sportsman 500. And it's going to be lightweight, independent suspension. It's going to be, there's nothing out there right now to compete with. My conversions is a step in the right direction. But, I've used some Hondas, Sportsman 500s, and some Grizzlies, and, I got a lot of customers on them. But we're going to take that thing. I think that the sport and the aftermarket ATV side of it is ready for another vehicle. That's not the mule or the Ranger. You know what I'm saying? That's too big. Like, you can't just take off down through the wood on your polo trail in a mule. But on one of these vehicles, on this scale, you can do it. I've done it. I'm doing it every day. So I think that's where it's going to eventually, not for the racing aspect, but for the, the recreational rider. As far as the sport of the racing end of it, it's hard to say. I really think, I see something coming that, I still get the dirt wheels, and I see these aftermarket companies, like a Cannondale, not aftermarket, but other companies, Cannondale and the new Yamaha, those performance style two-strokes. That's saying something. You know what I'm saying? It's just saying, if nothing else, there's more options. There's more manufacturers that could get into it. You know what I'm saying? With that Bombardier and all those. And those guys did, they're outside of Honda. If you take the Bombardier and that Cannondale, that's two companies that never been in a factory racing deal other than their bicycles and their other, jet skis and snowmobile engines or whatever. So, if nothing else, leave out Honda. You know what I'm saying? Flair supposedly sold more ATVs than Honda did last year on that one model. That Sportsman 500 sold more than Honda. So that tells me that American-made companies can come in here and build some stuff and get out here and race some things. It doesn't matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? If Honda wants to sit on their tail, you know what I'm saying, and let another company come in and blow the doors up, you know what I'm saying? Let them do it. It's America. You know what I'm saying? Free country.
Marty?
Yeah, it was awesome. That's something you look forward to for 2 or 3 months. They announced it. We had a lot of enthusiasm. Come here today and just have a good time. It was awesome. I didn't realize it. Win, lose, or draw. If we ain't proved we're fast by now, that ain't got nothing to do. It's all out here for fun today.
All right, I hope you enjoyed watching that interview with Marty Hart. If you liked this, definitely check out these other videos. I have interviews with a bunch of different legends, as well as footage from that 2000 Legends race.